Oh, brilliant. Lovely. Oh, well, thank you all so much. I'm Victoria Russell and I'm the Regional Volunteer Development Manager for NSPCC Cymru. And I'm just here to talk to you today about the work that we do and answer any questions you might have and really go into about the kind of help that we offer. And also what you might want to do if you want to give some help, potentially volunteer or support us in some way as well. So thank you so much for having me today. I'm really pleased to be here. We have done a little test of sound, so fingers crossed it should work okay. But we'll just get started if that's okay. As well as we go, if anyone wants to ask questions, please do just shout up as we go. There's space at the end too, but sometimes I feel it's better just to kind of ask as we go along. So please feel free to do that. So first of all, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about who we are at the NSPCC. A lot of people know our branding and our logo, but they might not necessarily know the ins and outs of the work that we do. So we have been fighting for children for over 140 years now, which still blows my mind that we've been around that long. And really at the heart of everything that we do is the belief that together we can stop child abuse and neglect. It's the mission that drives us every day. I see so much passion and hard work coming from our staff and volunteers who really believe that, you know, we obviously need to do this. And we really do that by working in partnership, lots in communities. We work across the whole of the UK and Channel Islands, and we really want to get the message out there to all communities that, you know, protecting children is everyone's responsibility. And so we look to build really strong local relationships. That means we're able to reach more children and more families and really offer that support that people might need. We do a lot of campaigning campaigning for change, and that helps us then influence any kind of policy and legislation. So we've got our policy team that work closely with local and national government, and obviously the aim is to make the world safer for children. We also work lots in communities, for example, in local schools, and we help teach children what abuse is and how to recognise it, but most importantly as well, how to speak out and to seek help if they need it. So we have a Speak Out, Stay Safe programme, which I'll come to and talk a little bit more about in a minute. That programme has literally reached millions of children, and it's just so inspiring hearing our volunteers talk about the feedback they get from the children and the help that it does give them. And then probably our most well-known service is Childline. And a lot of people still don't realise that Childline and NSPCC are one service. We are one organisation. Childline is going to be marking the occasion of 40 years next year. And it's was started really to be, you know, it's a lifeline for children and young people to be able to contact for help and support, be able to talk to somebody, which is one of our volunteer counsellors. And they can access our services through on Childline up to the age of 19. A lot of people don't realise that, you know, up to 19, young people can contact us. They think it's for much younger children. And we're really trying to spread that message more and more so that we're able to help more young people. We know that, you know, it is difficult being a child, being a young person, and we see those issues and difficulties growing more and more every day. So we have a range of ways that they can contact us. So it could be by phone, email, or chat service. And I think a stat that always really hits home to me is that we have a contact from a child or young person on Childline around every 45 seconds, which I just think is mind-blowing. I did a workshop a couple last year, and I said at the end of it, by the time I'd been there would have been over 180 children and young people that would have made contact with us just whilst I was there. So I think it really brings home how truly vital that service is. But as well as working to help children and young people, we do offer support to adults, parents and families, so specialist support services in the area. And really the aim is to stop abuse before it starts. And we want to make sure that for children that unfortunately maybe have experienced some type of abuse, that they know there's help for them. So we offer therapeutic services to help them recover and rebuild their future as well. So to move on to, but what if you need help or advice? And I think that's a lot of time the question that we get is from people saying, but how do I report something? I'm not sure if something's a concern. I need help or advice myself. Where can I get this from? And I would say that, our website is an amazing resource. There's so much information on there. I've used it myself. I've got a almost 6-year-old daughter, and I've used some of the resources on there to look at how to have sometimes difficult conversations around things like bereavement, or starting school. Toddler tantrums was a useful one for me as well. So there's a whole host of resources that we offer. But then on the more serious side of things as well, we want to be able to offer some anonymous support for people too, if they have a concern and they're not quite sure about it, whether it is or not, basically what to do about it. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our helpline. So our helpline, it's there for basically any adults that have a concern about a child. And we want everyone from parents, carers, professionals, and the wider public to just know that they can contact us without any worry or without any hesitation. I've used the helpline myself whilst I've been working at NSPCC even, and it really is a brilliant service. I had a concern, I wasn't sure, and it was out of hours, I wasn't in work, so I emailed them to make sure that I followed it up. But basically what it is that you can contact through phone or email, and just have a conversation with a member of staff that is able to assess the situation, give you some advice and reassurance really as well, which I think is really important, that you're not holding that concern yourself. And then where appropriate, they would make referrals to other maybe statutory organisations to get more help if needed. Obviously in the most severe cases, we moved on. In the most severe cases, we might have to contact, oh gosh, I don't know what's going on with my slides, I'm ever sorry. We might have to contact the police in that moment as well. But what the helpline would do is take that responsibility away from you, and make sure that you're okay as well in that situation. We'll often get asked, do I have to say who I am? And of course not, you can remain anonymous. What we do find though is that if you are a professional, unless it's a whistleblowing situation, then we would encourage people to share their details, just because it makes kind of moving forwards with things a bit easier in terms of referrals and follow-up as well. We would never refuse to talk to anyone, even a professional, even if you didn't want to share your details. The whole point of the helpline is that it is there to offer that conversation, that support, and that reporting mechanism. It's really accessible, but we are still working to improve that. So it does offer a translation service. So if English isn't someone's preferred language, then, for example, you could be a Welsh speaker, and that would be, obviously accessible to yourselves as well. And we also have a sign video service for any caller who's deaf or hard of hearing, and we're working on constantly improving the accessibility of that as well. It's really important. I'm just going to quickly check. Ooh, sorry, I've got two screens up. I can't see if there's a chat service, so I just wanted to double check everyone's okay. Lovely. So then that's kind of what our main support is for people in the community that might want to raise a concern. But obviously, as I've mentioned Childline already, just to go into that in a bit more detail as well. So Childline is obviously there for children and young people. What we find is that a lot of children and young people will contact us for a really wide range of reasons. A lot of the time people might think that it is around quite severe cases of abuse, but actually we'll find that, although we do get calls like that, that children and young people are often calling us around issues around stresses in the family or friendship groups. There's a lot of politics at school to work through, exam stress, anything around their mental health where they might be at risk and feeling unsafe themselves and not sure where to turn for support. We also get quite a lot of calls around eating disorders, and children worrying about finances even recently as well. So it's a really wide range of issues, and even to the point where we've had children call us to share good news, which is a little bit bittersweet, I guess, but it's because they hadn't felt that they had anyone else they could share it with. But lovely that they obviously had the opportunity to have a celebratory call with a volunteer to share some of their good news. So it's not always what our brain might go to thinking the worst case scenario. There is a lot of children and young people feeling quite lonely and isolated at the moment as well. So we get quite a few calls around that. I always say calls, but it is actually contacts, I should say, because it is a lot of the time on email and chat service. We had almost 200,000 childline counselling sessions last year. And as I said earlier, we do have a contact around every 45 seconds, and we're seeing that increase, especially coming towards the holiday period of Christmas. And we also had a really high submission rate to message boards on our Childline website. So last year was around 38,000. So we have a space where children and young people can come and send messages and chat online. We know that a lot of children and young people are preferring to do that these days. So always making sure we've got volunteers there to answer them in real time. So yeah, almost 3/4 of our counselling sessions do take place online now. So we're seeing really like a shift in that from the phone calls. I'm going to attempt to play this video, and it just gives you a little bit more information. As I said a minute ago, we've got loads of information on YouTube, and here's one of the videos that you can find on there as well. So do shout if you can't hear it.
So Childline's a service that people can use up to their 19th birthday. We're open 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So people can contact us whenever they want, and that could be via phone calls, that could be through our online chat for our website, or they can also send us messages for our website too.
It enables a safe space for young people to talk about whatever's going on in their world, and a lot of the time it's the first time that they've come through to someone and talked about what's going on.
It's so important to us that we can empower young people to make decisions about what's going on for them. This is their lives, and it's our job to kind of help and support and help to see what they might want to do with it. The young person is in control when they contact us, and that's often something they don't get with other services. What makes Childline unique is our confidentiality promise. So a lot of organisations will have to pass concerns on around safeguarding. Childline's very unique in the sense that we don't do that in many occasions.
Childline would breach confidentiality in a few circumstances. So if the young person or another young person's life was at risk, if the young person's asked us to share information, if a young person discloses to us that they're being abused by a person who's known to them by virtue of their professional role, and if we're aware of risks presented to a child that may have sort of limited capacity based on age, for example, who can't make appropriate decisions to promote their own immediate safety.
So how does Childline work with other agencies?
We do have a Connect team, and what they do is we'll work with some of our most regular service users who may be more additionally vulnerable or more at risk, and we'll link in with the agencies in their life and support and advocate for them. So we're really trying to empower the young person, but also advocate and be their voice in that multi-agency approach.
Childline is a safe space where that child is held, and I think that's really important.
It empowers young people and gives them the opportunity to trust someone because they're in control of the contact.
There's children out there that are really suffering, and I've always said thank God for Childline.
So Childline works with different agencies every single day. So this could be if we're making a referral due to a young person being in a life-threatening situation, that we might contact the police or an ambulance. It could be that we're contacting a person's crisis team for them or their CAMS team. It could be that we're making a referral because we've got a concern about something that's going on in someone's life. But also people may ask us, can you speak to my school? Can you speak to someone for me in my life to help us advocate for them and so they can understand what's going on in someone's world? So we've helped hundreds of people already today here at Childline. My shift's over, but these guys are going to carry on. So thanks for spending the day with us here at Childline.
So, yeah, as that video says as well, that is the kind of uniqueness of Childline, is that the confidentiality aspect of it. We often get asked questions, but, you know, what if a child reports something and you're not going to do something about that? Of course, we are going to, but we're trying to look at it in a way of not breaking the child's trust or the young person's trust. And so unless they're in immediate danger, we would follow their wishes, as the video said, because we want them to contact us again. We want them to keep that conversation open. And we have services then within Childline that can offer kind of ongoing support. Often we find that, you know, children, young people feel they can't talk to anyone else. And if we don't want to kind of close that door to them because they feel that we are going against their wishes. And so it is quite a unique aspect of Childline, but we know that it works and that they trust us when we're saying, you know, we need to kind of take this a step forward and we need to report this and do something about it to keep you safe. By building up that trust, they're more likely to say yes to that. So our volunteer counsellors and our staff are amazing at building that trust and making sure that they feel safe really with us and that they know that we're there on their side, basically. So please work. We then get asked a lot, you know, well, that's what you offer obviously to people that might have a concern or that a child or young person that needs some help in that moment, or, you know, needs some advice and support, someone to listen to them. What can I do though? How can I maybe give my time or support in some way? How can I help share the message of, you know, what you're doing to help children in my local area? And so that brings me on to the amazing work of our volunteers. And we're always looking for more people. I think what we find is that people often think a lot of our roles are quite time consuming, and that's not necessarily the case at all. So I'm just going to talk through a few of them with you today. So volunteers, they literally play an absolutely huge part in our services. We literally couldn't run our services without them. They're really the lifeblood of our work. Like literally, I look at when I go into the, I'm based near as Cardiff. If I go into the Cardiff hub and you see them coming in and you see them going up to Childline, for example, if that's the role they're doing that day, and I just think, you know, literally we would not be able to answer the calls. In the Childline office, for example, there is a big screen on the wall. The video showed it briefly there, with the amount of calls coming through, the amount of children waiting. And I think without those volunteers there, that wait list would be, you know, really huge. And we would see some of them drop off because they'll be waiting too long. But they do, obviously, Childline, there's so many other roles as well that feed into and play an amazing part in keeping children safe across Wales. We have around 500 volunteers in Wales at the moment, doing all sorts of different things. And so they do things like deliver workshops in local schools, usually primary schools, and help children learn how to speak out and stay safe. They're there when children need someone to listen to them, always on the end of a contact email, phone, chat service. But they also work with us to help empower parents and carers to keep children safe in sport, and they look to raise awareness I should have said that, sorry, prevent child abuse in their local areas, because if people don't, you know, you don't know what you don't know, and so it's really important to keep that conversation open all the time. And they help us raise vital funds to keep those services going as well. So just to move into a bit more detail about some of the roles that we have and to hear from some of our volunteers as well. So we've heard a little bit about Childline obviously already, but just the practicalities of the role really as well. If you are wanting to think about volunteering Or one of the things we ask when we kind of do these kind of talks and conversations with people is, it's okay if that you feel that role isn't right for you, or that it's not the right time for you to volunteer, but we would love you to share that message with other people, because it's, again, going, you don't know what you don't know, and the more people that know about how they can help and how they can get involved, then the more likely we are to obviously have more volunteers answering, in this case, more contacts from children. So depending on where you're based, Childline volunteer counsellors either go into our Cardiff base or our Prestatyn base in North Wales, but they can also volunteer from home, which some people find quite surprising. If they're coming into one of the bases, and then you would be answering a phone call or an instant chat service, and you would be with a team of volunteers and staff. There's really good really good training, sorry, for this role. It is a little bit intense at the start, but it's needed to make sure people are prepared and feel confident in that situation. We don't know what calls and contacts we're going to get in that moment, and so the training really prepares you for all kind of situations. But you would always have a supervisor with you at all times. So some of our volunteers also volunteer from home, as I've said, but they would just be answering the email service. They wouldn't be answering calls or messages. And even if you're volunteering from home, you would have an online supervisor live time you can chat to, or phone, for help and support if you needed it. The roles are actually quite flexible, the shifts are. We ask that you could try to do around 26 shifts a year, but obviously we know lives are busy, it's not always possible. And so whatever you can give, really. And you go online, you can book your shifts different times if you want to, and they might be the daytime, evening, weekends, whatever fits in with your life, really. The shifts tend to be 3 to 4 hours long, and that includes a briefing at the start with your supervisor and a debrief at the end, just to make sure that you're okay before you head off for the day. As I said, there's really good training for this role. It is accredited training for Childline as well. And you don't need any prior experience. The only thing we look for is that you're passionate about helping children and young people, and you've got good communication skills, and that you're empathic, and you want to listen and help. I've got Emir on the screen here, who is one of our volunteers in Cardiff. He says in this video, I think, that he's been with us about 6 months, but it's been about a year now. And he is amazing because he is giving, obviously, the time that he can around his job as well. He does the shifts as and when he can. And we're very lucky to have Emir, because he's also a Welsh speaker, so he's able to support, obviously, in English and in Welsh. So I'll play his video now, if it works.
Emir a dwi'n cynsalydd gwirfoddol gyda Childline yng Nghaerdydd. Dwi wedi bod yn gwirfoddoli ers rhyw 6 mis erbyn hyn, a mae wedi bod yn brofiad arbennig. Mae'n fraint i gael fod yna i rando ar ac i gefnogi plant a phobl ifanc sydd yn cysylltu gyda ni. Mae ddim bob tro yn hawdd, ond mae'r gefnogaeth ydych chi'n cael gan supervisors yn ystod y shift, yn ystod y galwadau, cyn ac ar ôl, yn anhygoel. A mae jyst yn golygu bod fi'n teimlo'n hapus ac yn hyderus i fod yna i rando ac i gefnogi plant a phobl ifanc sydd wedi cymryd y cam dewr iawn i siarad am beth sy'n mynd ymlaen yn eu bywydau nhw. A'r teimlad yna o foddhad, a teimlad bod chi'n gwneud gwahaniaeth sydd yn cadw fi fynd yn ôl wythnos ar ôl wythnos, shift ar ôl shift.
And Emmett also helps maybe come along to events as well, where we might be talking about Childline, as he's had the training and is a regular volunteer. We find it's really often helpful for children, young people to hear, and other people thinking maybe about volunteering, to hear from a real life volunteer. So there's that option as well, although obviously it's completely optional. One thing I wanted to quickly mention, I forgot actually, was that you can volunteer from Childline from 16 years old, which people are quite surprised at, but we obviously need permission from parents or carers, but we want to make sure we're providing opportunities for young people as well. There's obviously support and safeguarding put in place, but there is an option for people. So then our next role that we have is our Speak Out, Stay Safe volunteer. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier about the offer that we go into primary schools, but it's run completely by volunteers and they go in pairs. So it's a great opportunity if you're a bit unsure and you want to go with someone, you get a volunteer buddy and you support each other. And you go in and you deliver short workshops to primary school children. And it's talking about obviously what are quite serious issues, but it's delivered in a really, really age appropriate, quite fun way that it doesn't feel scary to the children. Gives them the tools that they know then what to do if they have a concern. So it talks about what consent is, what abuse is, and what to do if something happens, where to go, who a trusted adult is. And I remember it was about a year ago now. I was just logging onto it, the news popped up, and I saw NSPCC in the news title, and I was like, oh no, you never know what it's going to say. And it was literally a young girl had gone to school. She had had this workshop by our volunteers, had realised that what was happening to her was abuse, and had gone home and told her parents. And the perpetrator was then arrested, and it was obviously the rest is history in terms of that. She was then obviously given support to move forwards with her life. But we just think, you know, what would have happened if she didn't have heard that workshop, I guess, really? How long would have that potentially have gone on for? And what we want to do is do more preventative work, because that shouldn't happen in the first place. But where, you know, we do find talking to children and empowering them is the key to that, really. And so our volunteers play such a vital role in that. They also go into the schools and they teach the childline number. So it's kind of working with all of the services together to make sure that children have everything that they need. The ask for this volunteer role, again, it's really flexible. It's available for 16 plus, and you would go into a school once a month, which, depending on how far you travel, which is completely up to you, that would be around 2 to 3 hours a month of your time. We have volunteers that do more than once a month, of course, as well, but we know that life is busy, so however much you can give, really. There's really great training for this role as well, and you would start by doing a little bit of training around, there's a script you'd follow, and then you'd go along and shadow and see actually what the workshops look like. You don't need any experience to do this role. Sometimes people say, oh, do I have to be a teacher? But not necessarily at all. It's just about, again, being passionate about helping children and being a good communicator. There's lots of time to practice standing up and talking in front of a group as well. So it's really good for that side of things if you're wanting to do that. But I will play Debbie's video now, because Debbie is one of our volunteers in the South Wales area, and she's fantastic at what she does, and she's become a peer support volunteer as well, so she will now help other new volunteers get started and give them some kind of a bit of help at the start, really.
Hi, I'm Debbie, and I'm a Speak Out Stay Safe volunteer for the NSPCC. I've just delivered this workshop to the Year 6s at this school. They were really engaging. It was a really nice workshop. And I think this is my second year delivering workshops now. I had a card last week to say last year actually delivered to over 2,000 children. So that's a big number for me. So I feel quite proud to be a volunteer for the NSPCC. So if you're considering being a volunteer for Speak Out Stay Safe, just give it a go. It does get your heart going when you first stand up in front of 30-odd children. I am not going to lie. But you work with a buddy, you get all the training and support you could possibly want. And it's the slides and everything lead you down so you follow a script, so you know what you're going to say. If something happened and there was what we call a disclosure, where a child tells you something because it has, they are worried or sad or upset, or they've gone through some sort of trauma or abuse, it's okay, you will be able to deal with it, because that's the one thing that I worried about, is that they would tell me something I couldn't deal with. But there is a process that you follow, and when you follow the process, you get the support of the school, you support your supervisor, and your supervisor follows up, so that child will then be safe. So don't worry, have a go, work, with the children, because you're going to deliver to so many children. And so if you're not helping them today, you're going to give them the tools that they'll need for tomorrow.
That's lovely, Debbie. And yeah, she does an amazing role with us. And as she said, it's about giving them the tools that will help them for tomorrow, which I love that she said that, and I steal it, say it all the time from her. This role, again, is also delivered in Welsh as well. We've got all the resources for that. So if you are a Welsh speaker, or you know a Welsh speaker that would like to volunteer, then we really encourage, obviously, people to get involved as well. So moving on. Okay. So yeah, so then one of our probably lesser known roles, but one of, I think, a really exciting role that we have is our Safe in Sport volunteer role. So this is really flexible. It's as and when you are able to. Basically, the Safe in Sport team, they go out in the community and they work with sporting organisations to make sure that they've got the right safeguarding policies in place, the right way of doing things, and that their staff are trained. And we're just a support, really, if people have questions. We have a lot of kind of grassroots sport clubs that is really well-meaning, want to get going with something in their local community, but are not always sure where to start with that side of things, so we can help with that. We also work with right up, the chain up to places like, the Football Association, the WRU, the Rugby Union. So it's every sporting organisation we will help, and it's completely free. And so the volunteers that support with this service, they either go out to events and talk to parents and carers about being safe in sport and that, but there's also a role for sometimes people that don't want to go out and about to events, so they might find that hard to fit in. And so this is one of the roles that you can also do from home. And it's a bit of a research role. We'd liken it the most to a bit like a mystery shopper, where you would do some research on different sporting organisations for us, look at things like from the perspective of like a parent or carer signing their child up to, a sports club, and what you'd look for. And then that allows us to not catch them out in any way, but just to say, here's some support, this is what you'd suggest, what we'd suggest you put in place, and here's the tools to do that. So it's a really useful like part of our service, and a lovely role to kind of fit in around your life as well. And as I said, both options are really, really flexible. And you can do both of them. There's no kind of, you don't have to pick one or the other. The only difference about this role than the others is that it is for 18 plus only, and that's purely because if you're out and about in the community, in a situation, not like a school where we kind of are more in control of who's there, we don't know who might come up and say whatever to you as a volunteer. We find that people often see the NSPCC logo, and we don't want to put our volunteers in a position where there could be a disclosure or something that's inappropriate said to them. And so it's 18 plus for that reason, from a safeguarding perspective for children. But we've got lovely Helen on the screen now, who I'll play, and she is the volunteer manager for this role.
Hello, I'm Helen from the Safe in Sport volunteer programme. We come out to events like this, all different kinds of sports events, and we basically mingle and chat to parents about how they can keep their children safe in sport. We have a QR code, and we share access to our Parents Hub, where we store all of those resources, and we just normalise conversations around safeguarding. So if you think you'd like to do that, come along and join us, Safe in Sport.
And we are going to so many different events and stuff at the moment with that, so it's quite a sociable role. If you do want to go to events, it's quite fun. And so yeah, and then so moving on to another really flexible way of getting involved, which is our community action, fundraising and events. So that could be one of those things, it doesn't have to be all of them. But if you're not sure as well what you might want to do, but you want to kind of stay in touch and help as and when, this is a really good role to do that. These volunteers are amazing in that they help us at events. You can see on some of the pictures there. We've been to Pride, we've been to the Eisteddfod festivals, we go to do collections maybe where we've got a choir singing for us. And they really help raise awareness. Some people don't like to do fundraising, and that's absolutely fine. Some people love it. So there's kind of something for everybody in this situation, in this role. But what they're doing really is helping us have more of a presence in local communities, to have those conversations, to get information out to people, to raise vital funds so we can run our services. And sometimes they like to start their own group. Maybe if you've got a group of friends or family that want to do something, then we really encourage that. But we also look for people that want to come along and join us, and we can put them in touch with other volunteers that are interested in similar things. Some of the things that they do are they might organise a bake sale or a raffle, pub quiz. Someone even did a wine tasting event recently, which I was gutted that I couldn't go to. It sounded amazing. And they also come along as one-off opportunities and just help us on the day for a few hours. So Cardiff Half was the other week, and we had volunteers come and, a couple of hours cheer on our amazing runners to give them a bit of motivation at the hill bits that are particularly difficult. And seeing the NSPCC logo and that people are out in force cheering them on really helps that. They also help us on social media, that we have social media champions that share our work online and help spread the message as well. And we also have people that will get trained up and deliver talks in their local community, so that people know what help is available and how to get involved if they want to as well. Again, this role is for people that are 18 plus for the same reasons that I said before, really, is that, we don't know if you're out in the community, what conversation you might end up having. And although we don't expect that, it hasn't really happened much, and there's always supervisors and support around. It's just really important that, it is 18 plus for that reason. Also, if you are fundraising, kind of dealing with any money, you'd need an adult in that situation. So it makes sense for that. But we are really, really keen to develop more opportunities for more and more young people. And so we're really excited to say that literally just within the last few weeks, we've launched a new opportunity for young people 16 plus at the moment doing the Welsh Baccalaureate. And so this service that we're offering is a bit of light guidance and support. We know that students doing this qualification have to be quite independent, but we find that it can be quite overwhelming where to start looking for information, especially we've got loads that's really useful, but it's like where to find it sometimes. And so we can have people contact us, we can give them a bit of an introduction, give them some guidance on where to find that information. And then what we really want to do is be able to provide ongoing opportunities if they want it, but also to be able to evidence that they've done that volunteering with us. And so we can provide a certificate, we can provide a reference. If young people are going on to apply for universities jobs on their CV, we can, as a thank you really, have our name and reference on there for them, and just make sure that, it's evidence the time that they've given to volunteer. So that's our most recent offer. But I also wanted to just cover what we offer you. So if you do choose to volunteer, or you have anybody that is, you're talking to about it, and they say, well, what do they offer volunteers? What does that look like? I would say without question, of course, you would have a supervisor and regular support, like all of our volunteers do, regardless of whatever role. And there's excellent training with all of the roles as well. But we also offer kind of ongoing training. Some of it's really like optional. By volunteering, you'd have access to all of the training opportunities that staff do, completely free of charge. And it doesn't have to be related to the volunteer role you're doing. It could be just purely out of your own interest. And we would say, of course, we would offer that. We offer your expenses to volunteer, should not be out of pocket to volunteer. And we also have a discount hub. I've used it myself and it's brilliant. I bought a washing machine on there, which is not that exciting, booked a holiday on there, which is more exciting. And there's things like gym memberships and coffee cards and all sorts of nice incentives as well. And then on the more kind of serious side of things, we know that life can be stressful. And if you're adding to your commitments by volunteering, we want to offer another layer of support. And so we have a volunteer assistance programme. And what that is there's online and over the phone counselling sessions for volunteers if they need it, and also advice. So it might be things like legal advice or financial advice, and that would be extended to your family members as well. It's the same offer that we have for our staff. We feel like we all work as a strong team and it's important that that is available to everybody. But you'd also be part of a really friendly team. I can honestly say I've only ever worked in the charity sector. I'm 40 now, and I think that I look back at all of the different places that I've worked with volunteers as well. And NSPCC is really supportive, it's really friendly, and it is just a really, really nice feeling to be in that environment. So we really welcome new people to come and join that. And there's lots of opportunities as well. So volunteers get to hear about any job opportunities and any kind of training opportunities that they might be interested in. But really as well, it's it is really fulfilling. You know that you're playing a part to help keep children safe, and that always feels really, really rewarding. So I just wanted to finish by saying basically, thank you so much for your time. I know that that's quite a lot of information, and it might be, you want to go away and have a think about things and that. But if you are interested in staying in touch, you don't necessarily have to sign up to volunteer, or you'd like some more information, then, either scan the QR code or email me. And we can continue that conversation and make sure that you get some support or information to take those next steps if you want to. And our website is on there as well. But yeah, I'd love to hear any kind of thoughts or any questions if anyone's got any. Thanks, Jacqueline. I'm just having a quick look in the chat. Definitely. Well, either send me, if you do the QR code, or send me an email, I can definitely send you that information. We'd love to have you. And it is a really lovely role. I shouldn't have favourites, but I do think I would probably pick that role myself as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Anybody else at all? I'm not sure. I can't see anyone, sorry, so apologies. Please do keep in touch, and yeah, if you think of anything after, then I'm around as well. Just get in touch with me and we can have a further chat. But thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate you inviting me along, and have a lovely weekend as well.